0, 1. Let's get started.
Hello and welcome back, everyone. In today's episode, I'm be sharing with you all my exact S&P 500 game plan for tomorrow's market session, which is on October the 16th, okay? So let's go ahead and just get right into it. Let me get my big face out of the way and let's talk about this chart, all right? Now, ultimately, I think the key and most important characteristic that we need to be aware of if we get rid of everything really quickly is the fact that we are in a range, okay? You can kind of see this by the fact that if you just look at it in terms of this big bullish move up and then it nested right here, okay? Now, from there, we've gone equal lengths essentially below, which is also above, okay? That's textbook range to me. So when making this a little bit more professional, as we are, let's find this range like here, and then let's make this not so dramatic. There we go. Now we can also copy and paste this to get our deviations both above and below to figure out the true levels of resistance, and then obviously the true level of support, all right? So with this being said, you can now start to see the magic and all the action come to life because we have pretty significant levels of support and resistance, all right? So moving forward, everyone, I think the most important thing to make mention of is the fact that essentially what we're looking for are basically two variations, maybe three, okay? The first variation is that we actually end up rotating back down to the low for whatever reason, and then we find ourselves actually another chance, another opportunity to go all the way back up and rotate the full distance, which was previously below, should be expected outcome above, okay? So something like that, right? That's the first variation. How likely is it? Well, we have to sit back and wait and see, all right? Now, the second one is the continuation going higher, which is an immediate push going upwards. It's going to be a little bit more difficult to trade because the risk to reward is a little bit off, but essentially you want to see some sort of variation like this highlighted there in green, okay? Now, from that perspective, we are going to go immediately higher. However, you're going to be looking to try to enter in more than likely right around this area, okay? So just be aware that you want to try to buy as low as you can as the market looks to rotate back up higher. So with that being the second scenario, okay, the third scenario is going to be the fact of right now the distance above should be represented something very similar to this, okay? Now this is going to be the distance we're looking for. Then we should see some rejection somewhere right around this level of 671.5, okay? So if that's going to be the determined rejection, we could have an opportunity, although it will be less probable in terms of statistics because we are in an overall bullish range, that we could see a rejection, okay? Now that rejection would warrant the rotation back down to the low like we've experienced here on, I believe, Friday's session right here, okay? So just be aware that if we don't break out, then we should see a rejection coming all the way back down. Now, the other opportunity would be the more appropriate bull case scenario as we would look to buy because we should break out. Okay, now if we break out, it should be pretty obvious. There are several variations and varieties of breakouts of ranges, but for this one, we're just going to illustrate a nice typical move in which we are clearly seeing that higher high present itself with momentum clearly above not only red resistance, but also the swing high resistance, okay? Now, in this particular situation, we want to now look to buy dips in the appropriate zone, okay? Don't buy too high, don't buy the breakout. That's a rookie mistake. You ultimately want to be where the pros are, and the pros are buying dips, all right? So we have two bull case scenarios as we kind of rotate up, and then we have a bear case scenario as we kind of rotate back down. I would really like to see us push back down and then look for a buying opportunity off these lows highlighted in yellow. And again, just like the inverse of a breakout, it would take a significant push going lower before we really strategically start to change our opinion, trying to go short on the market. All right. Now, lastly, everyone, there's one more elephant in the room that we need to talk about, okay? That is the fact that if we just barcode here over the next several hours, it would look very ominously like this. Now, we trade on the futures market, so we would be able to see this a lot more clearly. But in the event that we do trade in a range, you want to just be aware that we're going to be looking for a more shallow pullback. More than likely, it won't break this low, okay? And in that shallow pullback, we're going to treat this as that, like I said, a mini range. as we look to rotate back up to the high, okay? Now, in this instance, you're going to kind of have to gather information based on what you see. But for right now, you'd want to get in somewhere right around there for your entry, okay? And then you can look to do the same deviations and stuff and also the same rotations. So if this is going to be the rotation underneath, you can expect the rotation at the very least to be that above. And then you could also target the appropriate high that was there on Friday, which is somewhere right around that 669 and a half, okay? You can use all these levels. You can even use this swing high up here if you want to get really technical with it, okay? So if we do find ourselves again rotating very tightly in a barcode range overnight, simply look for a more shallow pullback and then a retest going back up higher. If we just dramatically drop down with no stagnation, then I would like to see this other yellow case scenario where we look to buy off of the low and then look for that continuation going immediately higher, okay? Other than that, again, we could look for the rotation. This is less desirable, but usually when I say that to myself, this is ultimately the one that's probably going to happen. So just be aware that this is definitely a possibility. Again, it will be less desirable, but it's a possibility. Ultimately, I would like to try to short at the high or look for a breakout in its respective nature versus then trying to maneuver in this, but we will tackle it if it is appropriately defined in tomorrow's session, okay? So with that being said, everyone, if today has blown your mind, enlightened you slightly on how you should be looking at and trading the markets, then simply look down below for not only the Discord and Patreon links so you can join me live tomorrow's market session, but in general, I have a live stream here every Monday through Friday. It's delayed and muted, but it is there to show you proof of concept because we will be trading this exact same concept and structure in tomorrow's market session, okay? So be sure to join me bright and early here at 9:30, where I will be on the futures chart and I will be trading it live, okay? So again, everyone, thank you for giving me some of your time, and I will catch you all on the very next candle.
I know it's hard to trust so-called gurus. That's why I stream live every morning at 9:30 a.m. Eastern, Monday through Friday, trading the exact same setups we just talked about in this video. The stream usually runs until lunch, but just so you know, it's delayed and muted. If you end up liking what you see, there's way more waiting down below. You'll find links to my Discord and Patreon, where you can join the real-time live chat, remove the buffer, and unlock extra perks, including learning the entire system for yourself. That way, you'll never have to regret missing trades like this again.
All right, everyone. So this is going to be the trade of the week, or the trade that I will show you for the week, and it happened today on October the 6th, okay? So let me get my big face out of the way so you can see the chart here. All right, so what we have here overall was kind of a unique situation because we were expecting a whole bunch of different things, and ultimately what we ended up getting was a potential range rotation as well as just a continuation off of the bigger move, okay? So that being said, the low of this was kind of a unique entry, okay? This is a Gore pattern to the T. And with this, you can see it's more of a cascading, rising, higher high, and which gives us a nice entry off the base of this channel, okay? Now, that being said, the entry was a bit robust and big, leaving me to not be able to enter in ideally above the candle. So I ended up having to actually place my entry underneath based on the correct entry level, okay? That's what you're basically seeing right now. So with that being said, as soon as market action pulled back some, I do believe we entered in right here, yes. So with us entering in right here, now we're going to use our volatility-based algo that you will get as a Tier 3 member. And this will basically allow you to understand where to put your stop loss based on the day's volatility. So with that being said, as I adjust this, I'm going to fast forward just a bit so this doesn't take all day. But as you can see, we have our stop loss now there at the lows, which is equal to our stop loss at the highs, coincidentally. And then we use other levels objectively above to get our second and third targets, okay? As you can see here, after we did pull back and kind of danced around a bit, we ultimately ended up, if I continue to fast forward this, you can see in just a second, we did get our first target, and we did get our second target right here. Oh, excuse me, right in a second. We did move our stop loss up because we got our first target. Sorry about that. Then we got our second target right there. And now it's just a matter of are we going to get our last target? So there is a rhyme and reason to how we kind of trail, just so you know. But in this instance, as you can see, as we steady started to creep up dramatically closer to our target, we essentially maintained our stop loss closer as well. So as it continued to push up, we continue to push up as well. There is a trade secret for this, so don't fret. When you do become a member, you'll learn this. But in general, it just allows us to stay in as best we can, okay? So as you can see, our target was up there. We adjusted accordingly, and we did end up getting stopped out before the target high, although I did adjust the target high just a bit. So we ended up getting pretty much all the move, okay? So that being said, everyone, this was the trade of the week that you'll be seeing pretty much in all the videos for today or for this week. And if you don't want to miss opportunities just like this, then simply look down below for the description so you can get access to the Discord/Patreon, okay? Thanks for watching. See you on the next candle.